Hi guys, welcome back to the Yegi Beauty YouTube channel. I am Yegi. I'm the owner and founder of Yegi Beauty, which is a lash product line, academy, and also we do eyelash extension services. So we really just master everything in lashes. With that said, we love doing these videos to continue our education for our academy, but it is open to the public to help all the lash artists out there. So with each week's video or whenever we can get a chance to release a video for you guys, we like to focus on a different model, different client, because we can always learn. Everybody has different eyelashes, different eye shapes, and that's really key, is by seeing different examples so you can learn from other people's experiences and mistakes and not only your own. For this model, we are actually using different tweezers to isolate. We chose a very short tip tweezer in order to get into the client's eyelashes and isolate them in a detailed way. And it's because this client has really curly, dense, and short eyelashes. So the other tweezers were not working well for her, and you guys will see that in the video. So another cool thing about this video is we are using flat lashes in order to do a classic set, and we are doing a shifted doll eye. And this client also has big round eyes, so we are going to customize our mapping for her. And again, all great learning things. Before we do actually get right into the video, let me show you the mapping and talk you guys through it. So we did choose kind of longer lengths for the mapping because she does have a nice gap between her lash line and her brow line, and we want them to at least kind of come a little bit close to halfway to give it a full open eye effect, okay? But we didn't do a full round shape because we didn't want her eyes to kind of pop out and look even more round than they are. We did a shifted shape so they can enhance her eyes. We didn't want to do the cat eye either because we didn't want them to look elongated, okay? We wanted them to just enhance and kind of open up her natural eye shape. So this is what we did. So we actually made our longest part shifted. So if this is the right eye, instead of the longest part of it to be right in the dead center, we shifted it towards the outside. So this shape is kind of, we call it a shifted doll eye, but it's a shape between doll eye and cat eye, okay? So our longest part would be right about here, and we chose the length 15 for that, okay? Then we tapered down all the way to 10 for the inner corners. We didn't want to put anything too short just because of how much gap she had between her lashes and her eyebrows. If we went too short in the inner corners, then it wouldn't follow our natural shape that we were going for. So we did 14, 13, 12, 11, and 10 for the inner corners. And then we tapered out to 14, 13, and a few 12s. So you can see also for the outer corner, we didn't go all the way short to 10, just how we would do for a doll eye. We stuck to 12 over here. And you'll see what a beautiful shape that became for her eyes at the end of the video. Here is the client's eyes without any eyelash extensions. So first what we're going to do is we're going to examine her natural eye shape and her natural eyelashes to create a mapping in a style that fits best for her. Now remember, eyelash extensions are super customizable. That's why we do these YouTube videos in supplement to all the education and certification programs that we have in order to give you guys more ideas and more examples of different clients, different eyes. Now this client has round eye shape and she has pretty big eyes. In the before picture, it's kind of a side angle. You can't really tell how round her eyes are, but you guys will be able to tell at the after video. So anytime a client's eyes are pretty big and pretty round, we want to do a shifted doll eye, and we want to stick to a little bit longer lengths to complement her eye shape. Now, like always, we are going to start by taping down her bottom eyelashes to protect her under eye skin and also her bottom lashes. We're going to use the Yegi Hydrating Under Eye Patches in order to hold them down. Then over the under eye patches, we're going to use the white transparent support tape and then the clear tape over it. And I'll link all the products below so you guys can check it out, but pay attention to the placement of it. The under eye patch doesn't go quite as high as the tape does. Because the under eye patch is a gel material, we don't want it to get in the client's eye and cause discomfort. And for the tape, that too, we don't want it to get in the client's eyes and cause any sort of irritation. So make sure you're going high, but you are not passing the water line where it will risk kind of poking the client in the eye. And you always want to ask the client if they are comfortable after you do the taping and after they close their eye. If they are not, you can shift the tape down just a little bit to make sure it's not poking them. Next, we are going to map out the links we're going to use for her. And mapping is really important even as you get more and more experience. I've learned with most lash artists, we do want to map both eyes to make sure they're consistent. Now, we'll be able to sometimes visually see a shape without mapping, but the risk of both eyes not being exactly the same is higher. So make sure you map and you compare both eyes to make sure the links are about at the same place for both eyes. After, we're going to use the Yegi primer to prime the client's natural eyelashes. We are using lip wands, one from above, one from below, to make sure all the eyelashes are saturated throughout with the primer. And if anytime we see any mascara, any makeup residue on the lip wands, we do want to really get in there and cleanse and clean until they're coming out very clean, because if there is any makeup, any residue, that risks the chance of the adhesive not bonding as well as it would to the natural eyelashes, and then of course your set is not going to last. You're not going to have a good retention. Just like this video, if you see a lot of black or mascaras coming off on your lip wands, what I would probably do is I would stop and I would have the client fully cleanse their eyelashes again. I would use like a makeup remover, anything that would remove the mascara, something heavy, kind of like the Neutrogena eye makeup remover, even though it's oily. And then on top of that, I would use a cleanser to cleanse the makeup remover off, and I would use the Yegi foam lash cleanser to prep it before lashing. But it's so important to start with clean lashes, because that's how you're going to make sure your work is going to be guaranteed and it's going to last. We are using the G3 tweezers for our isolation, and we're using the A4 tweezer for application. Now, this is a classic set. Some people use straight tweezers for applying for a classic set, and some people use curved tweezers. Now, there are some pros and cons, and it really varies depending on the lash artist, but I personally like to use the straight tweezers when I'm doing a classic set myself, because I can help myself isolate with the right hand without flipping the tweezers back and forth. But sometimes a curved tweezer can give you more control if the client's eyelashes are a little bit curlier or they're shorter. So it's good to have a variety of tweezers to kind of also switch out and try to see what works better for that specific client. Now, the G3 tweezer is super delicate and it has a nice, short, precise tip for isolation. And again, this could be really good for clients with short and dense eyelashes, because you could really get in there without the other eyelashes coming out of your isolation after you have opened it. Now, what makes or breaks a classic set is how straight you apply each individual eyelash. Sometimes classic sets are considered to be beginner sets or easier sets than volume, but if you want a really nice classic set, you do need to make sure you're taking your time and you are applying those eyelashes as straight as possible. Sometimes a classic set can feel actually more challenging than a volume set if you want to make them look perfect. Now, if you feel like your classic sets are looking kind of sparse or they're not looking as clean and things aren't falling in their place, One thing you want to try is you want to direct each eyelash in the same direction. And it looks good if they are directed straight up, so the curl part is pointing directly up, or they're all directed a little bit towards the outside of the eye. If each of the eyelashes direction is the same, that's when you're going to be able to see a nice precise classic set. If you see the eyelashes directions like they're not all going in the same direction, then that's when your classic set would look messy. A good tip for isolation is also use your tweezers from the base of the eyelashes to separate them, not from the tips. So you want to go in from the base and keep it as open as possible. So that's where the eyelashes grow out of. That's how you can kind of see the natural eyelash better and be able to apply the extension in a nicer manner, okay? And also use your right hand or your left hand, if you're left-handed, your application hand, to help you move lashes around with the isolation, okay? So you can use two hands instead of one. So if you watch, you can see how we're kind of doing that here with two hands. Another tip too is if you cannot see the base of the client's natural eyelashes, so if their eyelid is kind of covering where the eyelashes are growing out of, use a little piece of tape to pull the eyelid up. That's how you can be able to isolate and apply in a more clear manner. Here is a technique of pulling back or taping up the client's natural eyelashes in order for you to see the bottom layer of the eyelashes and to help with your isolation. So you can try this technique as you're lashing if you feel like it's kind of hard to isolate and the client has a lot of layer of eyelashes. Sometimes when we tape up the natural eyelashes for taping in layers or isolating in layers, it is hard to glue the extension on top of the client's natural eyelash. So as you could see, we are gluing it underneath the client's eyelash. Just because of the angle of it, that may be easier. And it's not wrong to glue the extension on the side, on top and the bottom, as long as the base is evenly aligned to the client's natural eyelash and there's no gap, that is okay. It will bond and it will last, okay? So if you cannot get it on top and the eyelashes are curling up, it's okay to glue the extension underneath. So the tricky part about this set is that she has very short and curly eyelashes, so you do have to really get in there to isolate. And these tweezers, I think these were the G3 with the very short delicate tip, is what's going to make it easier to isolate for a client like this. Now this taping technique, taping horizontally instead of vertically up, is great for the inner corners and outer corners. So we would pull it out this way in order to see all those nice inner corner hairs. Sometimes if you do not pull using the tape, you won't see those inner lashes. And this is what the game changer can be from a basic set to a professional set. If we do not lash those inner corners, our sets look incomplete and the eye actually looks smaller or shorter or out of balance. So make sure you do not miss the inner corners and you do use the tape in order to apply. And we like using the blue sensitive tape for the skin anytime we're pulling it. And again, we'll link all the products below. Now we're going to just go ahead and keep isolating and keep applying the extensions one by one on the client's natural lashes. Our goal really here is to go ahead and apply it on as many, if not all, of the client's natural lashes. We just want to avoid the very baby tiny hairs, but everything else we do want to apply on. The more we apply, the nicer the set will look and the longer it will last. So take your time and go ahead and isolate and apply. A lot of times too is when we're isolating, we may be tempted to allow extensions to stick to 2 natural lashes or maybe 3 because that's easier, but make sure you're not doing that. It really will make a difference with the way the lashes sit, how healthy your clients' natural eyelashes would continue to grow out, and all that good stuff. So take your time. I know you're learning. I know it could be frustrating at first, but with practice, it does get a lot easier and a lot faster. And yeah, basically quality over quantity, right? So go ahead and take your time, and as you progress, you will get faster and it will get easier. So hang in there for my new lash artists. Now, once in a while, you can give the lashes a nice brush. Sometimes it helps us kind of see how far we've come. It's also encouraging and satisfying to keep going, but just don't try to overbrush, okay? This lash artist of mine, she actually overbrushes a little bit, but I could see why for this specific client, because as we're isolating, the lashes kind of sit in weird directions when the client's natural lashes are curly, but when we brush them, we do see how they're actually gonna sit once we're done with the set. So brush, but don't overbrush. I would say throughout the whole process, you should only brush like 3 to 4 times max. You shouldn't need to brush after few eyelashes, because that will also get in the way of your retention and the way they're kind of bonding, because the adhesive does take some time to fully cure. A lot of times people also ask me is how close to the lash line do you want to get? So my answer to that is it's better for you to be far away from the lash line than be touching it. So some people get tempted and they touch the skin almost slightly when they're applying, because it does look nice and it's kind of easier to have a bond that way, but it's not going to last long and it might cause an infection or an irritation for the client's natural eye and eyelashes. So make sure you're at least 1 to 2 millimeters away from the skin. If you can get really close, even like 0.5 millimeter as close, as long as you're not touching the skin, that's okay. Get as close as possible. But if you cannot and you're still practicing, you don't have like great control over it just yet, it's okay for it to be far away and for you to kind of see a gap between the lash and the extension when the eyes are closed compared to having it touch the skin. With practice, you'll have better control over the lash and you'll be able to get closer but not touch the skin. I think this is a very common mistake new lash artists make. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to dry the eyelashes. We're going to get in there, make sure they're all separated, nothing is stuck together. Then we would apply the super bonder, and again we're using the Yegi super bonder to lock everything in so our client is ready to go. They can swim, shower, sauna, all that good stuff without it affecting their extension. So there's no downtime when you're using a super bonder. The eyelashes would be cured, and this super bonder actually works with any adhesive. And actually, if the client's eye even feels a little tingly because the fumes of the adhesive are still around, this kind of eliminates that. So it's really cool product, and you would have to kind of try to see it, but that's the last thing that we would do. And then of course with the super bonder, we want to dry the eyelashes about 2 to 3 minutes before applying the super bonder, and then about 2 to 3 minutes after applying the super bonder. Then the client is pretty much ready to go. Well, thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and a few takeaways that are good to highlight in this video is if a client has naturally a lot of eyelashes but they're curly and short, you do want to use a short tip tweezer to isolate, like the Yegi G3 tweezer, and you want to use tape in your isolation as well. It will help you to really get in there. Another thing that we learned is if a client has big eyes and round eyes, we want to use a shifted doll eye shape. And if they have a big gap between their eyelashes and their eyebrows, we do want to use a little bit longer lengths to make sure the eyelashes stand out. Again, thank you for watching. Please comment below, share, and like the video. It really helps our community in order for us to all stay in touch and continue growing. And of course, ask any questions. We are always here to support one another. Until next time, bye.